July 18th, 2019. That's the day I became a gambler, because I took this $36,500 bet and put it all on myself and had this, what I thought would be an oversized, never be able to fill it up garage built. I know, it's hard to believe because time flies, but it has been 4 years, 1 month, and 27 days since construction was completed on this thing. And the old adage is absolutely true that you can never build them big enough. I thought that this was going to be just massively overkill, because my dad's shop is 30 by 40, and we worked out of there for decades at this point, and it always just felt huge. So I thought, when I build this is 30 by 56, 14-foot ceilings, got a 12 by 12 door and 2 9 by 9s. I thought that this was going to just be the Mecca. And for the most part, it is. It does absolutely everything I could ask of it. I've had 6 cars in here at one point, and still room to squeeze in more if I really needed to. But with that said, I've definitely thought about adding a lean-to on the side to park vehicles in the winter and get them out of the garage. And like I said, I took that $36,000 gamble on myself, and for the most part, I'd say it's paid off pretty well. First of all, because a few months after this thing was completed, COVID hit, and there's no way you could even come close to building something like this for $36,000 anymore. Prices have come down a little bit, but I still think something like this, because that $36,000 is the full pole barn and all the concrete, everything. I had to wire it with my dad, but aside from that, I mean, the wiring, that ain't shit. That was maybe $1,000. I've had many people tell me that for something similar to this, they were quoted around $60. So I think it was just pure luck that we happened to get this done at just the right time before prices started to get real wacky. But with that said, I have had a lot of people comment on the OG video of building this thing, asking what would you do differently, what would you change, do you wish you did this, that, the other, and I figured, 4 years later, it'd be a pretty good time to give some sort of update video. So let's start at the start. The very first thing I did to piss people off was right after the concrete was poured and it had cured for 2-3 weeks, I did a burnout in Goldie Hawn right there. You can kind of still see the mark actually, because it goes under where the hoist is now. Yep, right through here. And boy, did that piss a lot of people off. I quite frankly was shocked at how many people were pissed off that I did a burnout in the garage that I paid for. Doesn't really make sense to me, but some people are just very fragile. But they'll be very happy to know that I have never done any more burnouts on this concrete since then. I've definitely learned my lesson. And like I said to some of them, that burnout's not the worst thing that's going to happen to this concrete. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but over there is some unstained concrete that's never had any fluid spilled on it. Hard to find a spot, but over in front of the Fiero there. And then right here is where I have spilled gallons and gallons of transmission fluid, engine oil, coolant, anything you can imagine. Gear oil back here. Like I said, this concrete's going to see a whole lot worse. By the time I croak, this whole thing will be darker than this. So all in all, I'd say that the concrete has held up very well. This was built by a local Amish company. They're the ones who actually put everything together, because those Amish, man, they can knock stuff out quick. I think they started it on like a Monday, and they were pouring the concrete on a Friday, something like that. So it was quick. And then obviously the addition of the hoist, since I had the garage built, that thing is an absolute lifesaver. That has made so many projects in here possible. I kind of want to get a 4-post to put over where the Skylark is. Still debating on that because they take up a lot of room, and I like having the kind of open floor there, but I have needed a 4-post many times. It would have made things so much easier. But, is what is. So, the thing that people are dying to know, what would I do differently if I were to build this all over again? First, I would dig out more of that hill and move it further away from the house for 2 reasons. One, most of my vehicles are very loud. If you're not looking into pole barns or anything for automotive work, that probably won't faze you then. But most of my stuff, turbo cars, straight pipes, things like that, they're pretty loud. And that bedroom right there, ignore the siding. I'm going to get that taken care of in the spring, all right? I'm going to try and make the house look nice now. But that bedroom right there is my son's bedroom. So it'd be nice if it was a little bit further away. Right now, I think it's from closest point to closest point is probably like 18 feet, give or take. It'd be nice if that was closer to like 30 feet. And a side effect of that would be that pulling vehicles into this first bay here, it's not like it's difficult, but it would just make it that much easier if this was back a little bit further. The second thing that I would change is I would have had them just insulate everything right off rip. I told them not to do that because it was an extra like $3,000 that at the time I just didn't want to spend because I'm very tight with a buck. I actually really, really hate spending money. So when he was like, yeah, we can insulate it for an extra like $3,000, I was like, all I was seeing was that $3,000 and I was, no way, man. I'll deal with that down the road. I can do that myself. Now, just materials are like $5,000. So kind of shot myself in the foot there. I do have 22 sheets of plywood that'll cover about half of this that I can put up someday, but then I have the issue of the garage is now full of stuff that I have to move out and shuffle around, do half of it, move stuff back over here, do the other half of it. It's a whole hassle. What you doing, cat? This cat thinks he's a dog so much. So yeah, I wish that I had just told him insulate it right off rip and no longer have to worry about that. It's not really terrible until it gets about below 20, and then it seems like the heat's escaping faster than you can put it in. So, yeah. Second thing, absolutely wish I had just gone with insulating it right when it was built and just gotten it over with. At least the ceiling. The walls, I think, would be fine, but the heat going out the ceiling is just killing me. And it is very expensive to heat this place, which is why I bought a radiant tube heater that I've really, really got to get on installing very soon. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm wearing a hoodie right now. So that temperature, she be dropping. So I've really got to get on installing that very soon. The other thing that I wish I would have done differently, and they offered to fix this at the time, but I was like, don't worry about it. I wish that the entry door was over like a foot or so. I just think it looks silly. That functionality, there's no difference. But I just think when you're outside looking in it, the door right next to that, I think it just looks kind of goofy. Like I said, not a really big deal. They offered to change it, and I was like, don't worry about it. I just want to start using the garage. So, yeah, that is another thing that I wish I'd done differently. The ceiling, in hindsight, doesn't need to be 14 tall. I was doing that in case I ever got a 4-post and needed to lift a truck up there. Don't really seem to be doing much work on tall trucks, so I could have gotten away with like a 12-foot, and that would have saved me a little bit of money, because I don't know how well you can tell, but yeah, there's a good 2 feet above the hoist to those trusses. So yeah, could have saved a little bit of money there. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. I don't know what the difference would be nowadays. And then when it comes time to heating, it's just a little bit less area to heat. And then structurally, what I wish I had done differently, I kind of, only because I have the advantage of hindsight, I wish that I had built it bigger. I wish I had gone with like a 40 by 65 or something like that, just because of how much the prices went up so drastically and so quickly. I don't necessarily need the extra space. I just need to quit hoarding so much stuff. And I have been trying to thin the herd. If you'll notice, there's only 3 cars in here right now. The S10 will raffling that off, so hopefully that'll be gone in the next week or so. The trucks can stay outside. Like I said earlier, I've been thinking about putting up a lean-to on this side to park 3 or 4 vehicles during the winter. Not really sure if that'll ever happen. And then I also still have plans to add a loft over on this side, going from this beam over to that beam right there, roughly 8 feet up or so. One, get stuff out of the way, like all the parts and stuff over there. I can move all of those up on the shelf, and it would free up a lot of space. And I kind of wish that I had put a door on one of these side walls. I've really thought about adding a door over on that wall, just for ease of getting stuff in and out over there, because I really have this little like dream world fantasy of keeping this place all clean and tidy and having an area where I can just park like the lawnmower, or whenever I can find a good quad or side by side or something like that, just having those parked there, and I can just throw open a door and take off. It's not a huge deal, and it would be super easy to add. It's just something that I've been going back thinking about, is having a door on one of the side walls. So I don't know what number we're at. I've just been kind of riffing as I've been thinking of things. But another thing that I wish I had done differently, and still can add fairly easily, just need the time and motivation to do it, is I've got outlets on pretty much every post except the corner ones, and up here in front. Because at the time I was like, well, I can just run an extension cord, not a huge deal. I wish I'd put an outlet on in between the doors here, because there have been multiple times where I've needed to like charge a battery or something that was parked like out where the S10 is, and then it was just like 2 extension cords tied to each other, things like that. I know they make longer extension cords, not my point. Just trying to come up with an example. So I wish I'd put outlets closer to the doors, and I need to run an air line still over here, because man, air and electric are just so invaluable in this garage. But yeah, aside from like those kind of nitpicky things, I'm super happy with the garage. There's, like I said, it's all of the changes that I'd make either are things that I can still change fairly easily, or I only want to make changes out of hindsight, like building a bigger garage if I'd known the prices were gonna skyrocket, things like that. And then me digging out the driveway here to make it a circle drive, that was another thing that I didn't know that it was gonna be such a pain in the ass to back trailers up to the garage, so let me dig this out so we can just circle around real quick and then back up. Because what we were having to do for the last 4 years, until I dug this out a few months ago, was either back in from the road or pull in down there where the little drive to this field goes, and then back up the driveway, which isn't a huge deal. It's not like it's a very twisty, turny driveway, but when you're doing that multiple times a week, it gets old very quickly. And I still need to bring in like some crushed asphalt or something for over here, because when it rains, this all gets pretty soft. And it's kind of hardened up right now. And then, yeah, still need to level it out a little bit, but got that dug out to park trailers and stuff there. So yeah, all in all, the only real advice I've got is it's very true that you can never build a big enough garage. They say whatever you want to build, add 10% to it. I'd say whatever you want to build, add 25% to it, 50% to it. Heck, 2x that thing. Like, build it as much as you possibly can, because I really don't think, I don't think prices are going to come back down a whole lot. They might fluctuate a little bit, but I think for the most part they're going to keep trending upwards, man. The way prices are going with everything else, stuff is expensive nowadays. So yeah, that is my 4-year, 1 month and 27-day review of my 56 by 30 by 14 garage. Overall, I'd give it, 9.5 out of 10, 9.8 out of 10, I'd say. And the only reason it doesn't get a full 10 out of 10 is just my own short-sightedness. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good day, and I will see you guys next time.